Hey up! Welcome back. And you find me today on this beautiful late spring stroke early summer day, depending on your preferred means of seasonal classification. Just outside Bolton Abbey. Bolton Abbey in Yorkshire, and quite a popular place tourist wise, and as you can see, hopefully can see ahead, two abreast cyclist wise. You know, seriously, when they do that on double white line systems, oh, don't get me started. I just think that it's a theatrical display of arrogance rather than any tactic rooted in common sense. So anyway, like I said, don't get me started. So, the top 5 things I really do like about this bike, the KTM 890 Adventure. It's not the R, it's the standard 890 Adventure. Some people call it the 890 Adventure S, but that would be incorrect. See where they're coming from, because the road biased version of the 1290 Adventure, Super Adventure R even, is called the Super Adventure S. But this bike, what is going on with this person here? Come on, make your mind up. Where were I? Yeah, you couldn't honestly say that this is absolutely the road biased version of the 890 Adventure. It's just more road biased, and I say that because it's got spoked wheels, whereas the 1290 Super Adventure S has got cast wheels, and it's also got a 21-inch front wheel, not a 17 or a 19-inch front wheel. So it retains a bit more of its off-road credentials. Any road up. So, I'm just coming up to 2,000 miles on this bike. I would like to say, hopefully without tempting Providence too much, 2,000 incident-free, trouble-free, anxiety-free miles on this here KTM. So the top 5 things I really like about this bike. Right, first one, and this divides opinion almost universally, is the looks. And there's a bit of a Marmite factor with KTMs, isn't there? Look at this, 2 abreast again. Are you out for a ride or a conversation? Right, the looks. I love the looks of this bike. I like the looks of KTMs in general. I used to have a 2017 1290 Super Adventure. I'm not so fond of the looks of the Super Duke R and the Super Duke GT, but the looks of the 890 Adventure, 890 Adventure R and the 1290 Super Adventures, the new ones from 2021 onwards, I think they look fantastic. But not everybody would hold to that view. But all I will say is, they look to me cutting edge, a little bit different, a little bit rebellious, a little bit as if KTM are flipping the bird to the sort of overly generic appearance of the rivals from Triumph and BMW and what have you. So okay, that will be number 5, the looks. I think this bike looks a treat. Easy on the eye. Okay, so number 4. Well, number 4's the handling. Now bear in mind, this bike's got a 21-inch front wheel, 18-inch rear, which you would normally associate with a heavily off-road bias, but it turns in like a treat. And alongside that, factor in the fact that the fuel tanks, these what they call ball bag fuel tanks, you know, like a buffalo's knackers, right down either side of the bike, so that the weight of the fuel, or the vast majority of the fuel, is carried very low on the bike, thus lowering its centre of gravity, thus making it highly manoeuvrable for a 220 odd kilogram wet plus motorcycle, which is not a small motorcycle. Don't be thinking that the 890 Adventure, because it isn't the 1290, is a physically small bike. It isn't. It's a physically big bike. But without a doubt, KTM's design around those fuel tanks makes a substantial contribution to the overall handling of the bike. It's just effortless. Turns in like a dream, and is very, very well mannered indeed at low speed. So that's number 4, handling and balance. So right then, number 3, and this is connected a little bit with what will be number 1, but we'll come on to that. But number 3 on this bike for me is its range. Now that's a combination of the relatively large size of the tank, 20 litres, for a mid-size adventure bike. Don't forget the big BMW R1200 GS is a 20 litre tank. Look, this idiot's doing it again now. God's sake. BMW R1200 GS, best-selling adventure bike on the planet, basically. That has a 20 litre fuel tank. So this has a 20 litre fuel tank, but it's also got a very frugal engine. So this 889cc parallel twin, let's face it, it's a 900cc bike. That's the category that most people would identify with. So it's a 900cc bike. It's like your Tiger 900s and what have you. BMW 850 GS, right? So it's a very, very frugal engine. Now KTM quote high 60s miles per gallon from this engine, and you know what, that's not a million miles off. I've certainly not dropped below 60, even when whoa, get it. Hey. They're all out today, cyclists, wildlife. Where were I? Blimey, lost my thread there. Right, okay, yeah, it's a very frugal 900cc parallel twin. KTM are quoting high 60 miles per gallon, and I've not dropped below 60, even when engaging in a bit of spirited riding, which I'm not doing at the moment because I'm too busy talking. So 250 mile plus is easily achievable on this tank. So that is a very, very usable range. And if you don't want to be on first name terms with every filling station attendant in the county, then a bike like this is the way to go. So yeah, 3, range. Now number 4, again we're talking about that 900cc, or 889 if you want to be precise, parallel twin engine. It's an absolute gem of an engine. Now don't be thinking this bike, because it isn't a 1290, ain't got plenty of punch. It's a very tractable engine. 105 brake horsepower at 8,000 RPM and 100 Newton meters of torque, and it goes like a train. The only time that I've noticed that I'm not on a 1200cc plus adventure bike is at very low revs, say around 1500, and we're up in third gear and wind it back. It doesn't chug or resist or play hell or anything like that, but you just do get the slightest hint of look dad, I need to be in a lower gear, but it's barely perceptible. And once you get beyond that momentary threshold, it just goes like stink. Red line's at 10,000 RPM, as you can probably see there. But let me tell you, by the time you're at 8,000 RPM, say in 5th gear, it's a 6-speed gearbox, you'll be way into naughty speeds territory. Something which I, of course, am not inclined to do on the public road. So yeah, the engine, it's an absolute pearl. It sounds good, and I would imagine, I mean, this has got the OEM exhaust on at the moment, but I'm looking to get an aftermarket just to give it a bit more, give it a little bit more rumble and a little bit less of that famous KTM clatter. So I'll maybe be looking at something like a fuel exhaust, because they're a local company based in Kendal, I think it is, in Cumbria. I think Richie Vida's put a fuel exhaust on his Africa Twin. It only comes in at 300 quid for this bike, whereas your Arrows are like 500-600, and of course your Akropovic, whatever you want to call them, then, you know, sort of 800-900. So yeah, the engine, you know, for a mid-range adventure bike, 900cc, I'll bet this is the fastest in its class. I'll stick my neck out and say that. It's certainly a lot faster than the BMW equivalent and the Triumph equivalent. So okay, number one then, and just cast your eyes over there, look at that, that's the little village of Burnsall. So a little village of Burnsall there in the Yorkshire Dales. Look at that, beautiful. Is that Postman Pat? No it ain't, but anyway. Right, so any road up. So this here KTM 890 Adventure, right. Number one. It's a bit of a catch-all, is this, and a classic example of the whole being more than the sum of its parts. But number one for this bike, bearing in mind I've ridden all sorts of bikes. I've got a BMW R1200 GS Adventure, an older one, big, massive, 33 litre, 260 odd kilogram bike, and I've had all sorts, Gold Wings and other adventure bikes, and retros, modern classics, sports tourers, all of them. Grassington, that'll do, won't it? Yeah, Grassington. Right, so quite picturesque around here, isn't it? So number one is just the overall versatility of this bike. It's versatility, its ease of use, its competence across a broad range of portfolios, if you will. It's just such an easy bike, just to throw your leg over and go do anything. It's superbly comfortable, supremely comfortable. It's got a really comfortable riding position. It's got a very firm seat, but not an uncomfortable seat. It's got plenty of road presence, it's got decent physical size without being completely unwieldy. I've got the Touratech luggage on this, and you can load that up with whatever you want and go wherever you want, do whatever you want. You can do some off-roading if you want to off-road, you can tow long distance if you want to tow long distance, you can whip your panniers off and go scratching round the back lanes of the weekend if that's what you want to do. If the weather turns bad, there's plenty of hello. Oh bless. There's plenty of protection on the bike. You could jump on this with absolute confidence so that it would take you just about anywhere or everywhere in comfort, and with this engine with the opportunity to indulge yourself if you're feeling that way inclined. So I think, in fact I'm absolutely certain, this is probably the most versatile motorcycle that I've ever owned to date. So there you go folks, those are the top 5. I'll do another video on the bottom 5 if you like, or the top 5 dislikes. But I hope that's been some use of you. So if you're after a competent mid-weight do it all adventure bike for a reasonable price, this cost me £12,000 brand new, and that included the Touratech panniers and the mounting kits obviously for it, cruise control enabled and heated grips fitted, all for 12 grand. Not to be sniffed at, eh? Okay folks, so that's me for today. I'll catch you later. Ride safe, be careful, and above all, be kind.